Welcome back to the KCC. This is Kenny's Chelsea channel, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. So far on this channel, we've mostly just been doing match previews and match reviews for Chelsea's matches. But in today's video, we're going to be going into something a little more along the lines of transfers. Not upcoming transfers for the January transfer window, but we're going to be ranking Chelsea's summer signings from this previous summer transfer window. So, before we get into that, I do ask, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on more Chelsea videos and Chelsea news. Go ahead and hit a like on this video, and if you could, please leave a comment down below, and let's get a conversation started and continue to grow this community. Alright guys, so back to the video. We're going to be ranking Chelsea's summer signings from the previous summer transfer window. We did have quite a lot of signings. I'm going through this list that I found on ESPN's website for Chelsea summer signings, and I'm not going to be going in an order of the rankings. The order I'm going to be going in is more along the lines of the order in which they were bought, so in chronological order. I'm not 100% sure how accurate this is. I'm just going off of this link that I found from ESPN. So, at the end of the video, I will show the full list and the ranking system that I have put together. The ranking system is going to be from A to F, American school system style. So A, B, C, D, and F. A being the best and F being the worst, of course. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the first signing on this list, which is none other than Omari Kellyman. Who in the world is Omari Kellyman, you guys might be asking yourselves? Well, if you guys were staying up to date with Chelsea's transfers last summer, you will know who Omari Kellyman is. And I will say, I was not a fan of this signing whatsoever. For me, I rank this signing an F. I didn't like anything about this signing from top to bottom. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but basically what happened here was this was with the whole FFP, financial fair play, Chelsea looking for peer profit sales and helping other teams in the league with their peer profit sales. So we were trying to get rid of Ian Maatsen. He had a very good loan spell in the second half of the season, playing for Borussia Dortmund, helping them reach a Champions League final against Real Madrid that they did sadly lose. And Maatsen actually did have a couple mistakes in that match that probably cost Dortmund the game, but let's not get too into that. But with all that being said, I do believe Ian Maatsen was worth quite a bit of money in the summer. So we sold him to Aston Villa for roughly about £40 million. I don't have all the transfer fees on here on the website. They all said undisclosed. So I do apologize. So I'm going to be going mostly based off of memory that I remember just from seeing the Fabrizio Romano post in the summer. But I do believe we sold Ian Maatsen to Aston Villa for roughly about £40 million. And we were trying to get John Duran, the striker, in return for him, which at that time Chelsea fans were in uproar against that transfer because Aston Villa kept raising the price on him, and Chelsea did not want to spend more on John Duran than we received for Ian Maatsen. So what did Chelsea go ahead and do instead? They picked up this academy kid from Aston Villa to help them with their peer profit situation and their financial fair play problems that they had going on. And we picked up this kid, Kellyman, for I believe it was close to £20 million, which was an extremely inflated price, which means we basically sold Ian Maatsen for only £20 million if you really look at it, because I don't see excuse me, any use that we're going to get out of Omari Kellyman. I don't think unless he ends up becoming some sort of world beater out on loan. Because since arriving, I don't think he's played any minutes even for the developmental squad. He's been injured since he arrived. I believe he is still out injured. And I'm sure he was a promising academy kid over at Aston Villa, but I just really don't see him ever breaking into the senior squad here at Chelsea or really doing much, really ever getting our money back on him. So I am not a fan of this transfer whatsoever. I'm going to leave it as an F. Let's move on just because I don't even feel good talking about that whole Omari Kellyman situation. So, second on the list, we have Tosin Alarabiyoyo. I rank this signing a B. Why a B? Well, for one, he came on a free transfer from Fulham, the team that just beat us, by the way, last game. But let's not get too into that. But he came from Fulham on a free transfer. He was drawing a lot of interest from different Premier League sides in the summer. Newcastle United being the strongest team that seems to have the most amount of interest in him last summer. But ultimately, he decided to move to Chelsea on a free transfer. And the reason why I'm going to leave him as a B is, for one, it was a free transfer, so it didn't cost us any money. And for another, he has been extremely solid since moving over here. He's been playing great in the Conference League, and now that he's broken into the Premier League starting 11 with the likes of Wesley Fofana and Benoit Badiashile being out injured, he seems to have been a really good signing in the fact that he has given us good cover in those defensive positions, and also, of course, didn't cost us any money, and it's not like he's on extremely high wages either. So, very happy with the signing. I'm not going to give him an A because I don't think he would be breaking into that starting 11 in the Premier League if it wasn't for those injuries. But still, very happy we have him on board. So, I'm going to leave him as a B ranking. So, third on the list, we have La Masia Academy graduate Mark Gu. Mark Gu, I'm going to give him a ranking of C. Why a C? Well, we can put C for cheap. He was a cheap signing. We were able to get him based off of his release clause in his contract at Barcelona. Once again, I don't remember the exact fee, but I do believe it was either between £3 or £6 million, which is extremely cheap for such a hot prospect. Strikers like him come very far and few between in today's game. So I'm very happy that we're able to bring Mark Gu on board. He has been extremely solid when he has played. Similar to Tosin, in the Conference League is where we've seen the most of him. He has not been able to break into the Premier League whatsoever. I think he had a few minutes in the opener against Manchester City, and I don't think we've seen any of him since. And it seems like we should start seeing a little bit more of him with the way that Nkunku has not been supplementing Nico Jackson at all in the Premier League lately. But it seems more likely that Chelsea are going to go out and find another striker in the January transfer window to be a backup for Nico Jackson. So that just seems like it's going to limit Mark Gu's opportunities more and more. But I'm not extremely unhappy about that. Of course, I would like to see him get a few more minutes so that he can keep gaining more experience at the top level. But he's still extremely young. It's going to take him a while to get there. And as a striker, it's different than being a defender, for example, that's only 18 trying to get minutes. Because as a defender, even a midfielder, you have that team and that core around you to help you out. As an 18-year-old striker, if you're not putting in goals, the pressure is going to keep mounting and mounting and mounting, and it could make or break a player in their career. So for right now, I'm extremely happy with continuing to give Mark Gu more minutes in the Conference League and possibly now in the FA Cup, with our FA Cup run soon to start in a week or so. So Mark Gu, I'll leave him ranked as a C. Very happy with him. He's been playing great in the Conference League. I think he finished the Conference League group stages with 6 goals. I know he scored 5 in his last 2 matches in the Conference League. So very happy with his signing. I will leave him ranked as a C. Fourth on the list, we have Mr. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. And as the middle of the 3 letters of his initials represents, I'm going to rank him a D. Why am I going to rank him a D? I'm going to rank him a D because, in my opinion, he was a pretty expensive signing for a championship player. I know Romeo Lavia was more expensive coming from the championship, but Romeo Lavia was much higher quality than Dewsbury Hall seems to ever be able to reach. And I know the ranking of a D might seem a little harsh, but it might even be because I was very excited when Chelsea signed him in the summer. I was watching his highlights for what he was doing for Leicester City under Maresca, and I was extremely excited. I was like, man, this guy might come in here and take Enzo's spot. That was honestly what was going through my head in the summer. I go, man, this guy might just take Enzo's spot because if Enzo doesn't get it together, we might need a replacement in that midfield alongside Caicedo. And this guy, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, seems to understand Maresca's system to a T. And he was by far their best player last season. And he was able to make it to the team of the season in the championship last year. But Now we can see there is a huge difference from the levels that you need to be a top player in the Premier League versus a top player in the Championship. Because a lot of people are crying out that Kieran Dewsbury Hall might be a Danny Drinkwater 2.0 situation. And as much as I would like it not to end up like that, it's kind of looking like it because he has not been performing well in the few opportunities he's been given in the Premier League. And then even in the Conference League, aside from maybe a couple solid performances, I have not been liking what I've been seeing from him whenever he steps onto the pitch. So I have not been a huge fan of him this season. I know Brighton were after him in the summer before Chelsea snapped him up. Let's see what happens with him. I don't see him staying at Chelsea beyond next season unless things change drastically. So we're going to leave KDH as a D ranking and move on to the next signing, Renato Vega. Very, very, very happy with his signing. From the moment he moved here, just from looking at him, I was like, man, this guy is a unit. I was very excited with the signing of Renato Vega. I had never heard of this guy in my life before, but just from the moment I laid eyes upon this guy, I was like, this guy is going to be good. I ranked the signing of Renato Vega a B. And why is it B? Well, for one, he was a very cheap signing. I believe the signing of him from Basel in the summer was anywhere between 6 to 11 million pounds, if I remember correctly. But aside from that, he has been extremely solid when he has played. He's been playing mostly in the Conference League. Haven't seen too much of him in the Premier League. But I'm going to rank him as high as a B versus Mark Gue, where I ranked him as a C because I do see a lot more potential for Renato Vega. For one, he is the human embodiment of a Swiss Army knife, which is the exact type of player that Enzo Maresca is looking for in his system. I mean, this guy can play fullback, he can play center back, he can even play in the midfield. So, for those reasons alone, I see a very high ceiling for this kid, and I really do see him staying at Chelsea long term. Even if he doesn't end up breaking into the starting 11, I feel like he'll be a very important utility player for us, which is always useful in a team. Next on the list, we have Caleb Wiley. I don't want to go too into this kid because he got immediately loaned out to Strasbourg after signing him. We signed him from Atlanta United. I have no idea what the fee was. Like I said, on the website here on ESPN, they did not disclose any transfer fees. And I don't really remember how much we signed him for, but I'm sure it had to have been something pretty low. So Caleb Wiley, left back, came from Atlanta United in the MLS, immediately got loaned out to Strasbourg. From what I've heard in the few times he has played for Strasbourg, he's been playing pretty good, but it seems like he's been injured most of the season. So not going to spend too much time on him. I'm not even going to give him a ranking. So let's move on to next on the list, which is goalkeeper Filip Jorgensen. Filip Jorgensen, a lot of people have been liking him this season. A lot of Chelsea fans are big fans of him so far this season, but I'm going to rank him as a C. Ranking might seem a little harsh. I would say he has played pretty solid, but I'm very unsure of what his future looks like at Chelsea. You know, I thought he was going to come in here and take that number one spot from Robert Sanchez, but he has not seemed to do so. And we're about halfway through the season now, and he's only had one Premier League start against Southampton. I am hoping he gets another Premier League start this Monday against Ipswich Town to see what he is capable of. But it seems like we continue to have all these goalkeepers on our books, and we still continue to seek out for more goalkeepers to sign. So I really don't know what Jorgensen's future here at this club lies. So Filip Jorgensen, I'm going to rank him as a C. You know, he came on a pretty low transfer fee. I believe it was around like 30 million pounds from Villarreal, I believe it was. Villarreal, I believe he came from in the La Liga, Spanish top flight division. And he's looked okay for the most part. He's looked pretty solid in the Conference League, but he has a hard time keeping a clean sheet. Of course, I wouldn't say that's so much his fault as the defense's fault, but let's see. Is he that much better of an option right now than Robert Sanchez? I don't know. I guess only time will tell. So, next on the list, we have Aaron Anselmino. He's a center back from Boca Juniors. Once again, I'm not going to rank this kid similar to Caleb Wiley. He was signed from Boca Juniors and immediately loaned back to them. From what I've heard, he's been injured almost the entire season. I think he only had 1 or 2 appearances, and it seems like in the January transfer window, we might buy out this clause that we have in the contract where we can bring him back to Chelsea and just help him with the recovery in London, kind of acclimate him to the weather, acclimate him to the city, acclimate him to Europe, start getting him to know all his teammates and coaches and everyone all around. And hopefully he can recover in time to maybe make an appearance later on in the season or just be ready for next year's preseason. So we'll see. I'm not going to give him a ranking because he has not played any minutes for Chelsea. So let's move on to the next one. Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto is going to be the first player that I rank in this video as an A. I'm going to rank Pedro Neto as an A because so far, since he has signed, I think we signed him for around £65 million. He has played great. He can play on both wings, left or right, and he's already broken into the first team. You can see when he first came in, he was kind of in that B team role, playing in the Conference League, and he, didn't take very long to break into the Premier League team, starting over Noni Madueke as of late. I see him as a very good, solid player. I don't know if he's going to stay there starting at right wing all the time, especially we have Noni Madueke in the side this season. And then, of course, next season we have the likes of Esteval Willian coming in. We have Kendry Paez coming in. So I don't know if he's going to retain that position, but so far he seems to have been a great signing. And I do see a future for him at the club as he is very versatile, being able to play on either side. And for the fee that we got him for, I do believe it will be quite difficult to move him on to another club and get the fee back or for what we paid for him when we signed him from Wolves. So I do see him staying at the club for a while, and he does kind of remind me a little bit of the original Pedro that we signed from Barcelona when he came, because he can play on either wing, and it seems like he's okay with coming off the bench or starting. So it just seems like a very mature player that can be very helpful to us. So next on the list, we're going to go with Mike Penders. I know he also got signed and got loaned straight back to Genk in Belgium, but I'm going to give this guy a B ranking. Why? Because I'm extremely excited by the signing of Mike Penders. This kid might be Thibaut Courtois 2.0. He seems like a regen, even possibly better. I mean, this kid looks like he was built in a lab specifically designed to create monster goalkeepers. So even though this kid hasn't played a single minute for Chelsea, I'm still going to rank him a B, really just on potential alone, because this kid seems like he could be the future goalkeeper of Chelsea for many years to come. So I do hope he can keep developing at Genk in Belgium, and hopefully when he comes either next season or the following season, he'll be ready to come in and start playing for Chelsea's senior squad, and we can see this kid for many years to come. Very excited about that signing. Next on the list, we have Jadon Sancho, signed from Manchester United on a loan with a buy obligation, which seems like it's already been triggered, I believe, for only £25 million. I'm going to rank Jadon Sancho's signing as an A, as well as to Pedro Neto. He's very similar to Pedro Neto in the sense where he can play on either wing. He can even play in the 10 role, but I don't think we're going to see that at all with the competition we have for the 10 spot in this Chelsea side right now. So for the most part, he can play on the wings, either side. Since he came in, he broke into that starting 11. Of course, we didn't have too many options for the left wing. We saw Pedro Neto play there a couple times in the beginning of the season, with Raheem Sterling out on loan to Arsenal, and with Misha Mudrik's whole situation. Looks like that left wing spot is Jadon Sancho's to lose at the moment. So I've been very happy with him so far this season. I know a lot of people have been complaining, hoping that he can start shooting a little bit more, scoring more goals. But he's been very productive since he's came over here. He seems to be loving life at Chelsea. So very happy with him. I'm going to rank Jadon Sancho an A. Now, on to the last signing on this list, Mr. Joao Felix. Signed on a permanent transfer from Atletico Madrid in that crazy transfer saga that saw us sell Conor Gallagher to Atletico Madrid, and we were supposed to get Samu Omorodion in return, which now looking back at that in hindsight, seems like it would have been an excellent signing for Chelsea if we would have been able to secure the signature of the young, hot prospect Samu Omorodion, who has been killing it for Porto this season in the Portuguese top flight division. But instead, we ended up vetoing that deal last minute and kind of twisting Atletico Madrid's arm a bit in order to get Joao Felix for a very desirable fee. And now, once again, Joao Felix is just a very exciting player. I'm sure a lot of Chelsea fans, like myself, were very excited when it was announced that we were going to be signing Joao Felix instead of Samuel Morodion. Because at the end of the day, hindsight is 2020. But in real time, in that moment, we were much happier to see the likes of a big name, superstar quality signing of Joao Felix coming over than some random unknown kid that's hadn't even played any senior minutes for Atletico Madrid at that point after spending the previous season on loan at Diego Alaves, I think the team is in Spain. So Joao Felix, I'm going to rank him as a C. I wish I could rank him higher because I'm a big fan of this player, but he just has not been able to cement himself in this team, and I'm very unhappy for that. I don't know if that's more an issue on him or in Maresca, because when he came over, a lot of the questions around him were his commitment. People would say that he's lazy, that he doesn't press, that he doesn't do well off the ball. He's great on the ball with his technique. Even then, sometimes his decision making on the ball isn't always great. But since he came over, he seems to have left those doubts behind. He's been extremely active off the ball, pressing well, putting in good shifts on and off the ball. But for whatever reason, Enzo Maresca just does not seem to fancy him. And he hasn't been getting much of a sniff in the Premier League. He's been playing great when he plays in the Conference League, but obviously this guy is levels above any opposition in the Conference League. So I really hope to see more of him now in the second half of the season. I feel like if anything, he can compete more for that left wing spot, competing with Jadon Sancho to play in the left wing versus trying to take the spot from Cole Palmer. Because it seems like Cole Palmer, even when he's not having the greatest of games, Enzo Maresca always seems to leave him on for the full 90, doesn't want to bring him off. And I do understand that to a certain point because Cole Palmer is that type of player where he can be having an off game and then bam, just like that, he can have a moment of brilliance that'll put you right back into it. So I do understand that to a certain extent, but when you have someone of Joao Felix's qualities, that he as well can be one of those players that can just spark up a moment of brilliance and get you a goal or get you an assist that can help you get those 3 points at the end of the day. I feel like we need to be seeing a player like that on the field. Whether he's not breaking into the starting 11 regularly, we have to at least be seeing him come off the bench because he's just too good of a player to be sitting rotting on the bench. So Joao Felix, really hope that he can improve and see more of him in the second half of the season. But for now, I'm going to leave him as a C rating. All right, guys. So if we look at the full list, top to bottom, A, B, C, D, and F, we have just the two players ranked A, Neto and Sancho. Ranked B, we have Tosin, Renato Vega, and Mike Penders. Might be a little crazy that I put him as a B that high, but man, I'm just really excited on this kid's potential. I really feel like he can do big things at Chelsea in the future. Hopefully, fingers crossed, all things go well. Ranked at C, we have Mark Gue, Philip Jorgensen, and Joao Felix. Mark Gue and Jorgensen, kind of unsure about them. Joao Felix, I really feel like he can go up to a B or an A by the end of the season, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then just the Lone Rangers at D and at F. Kieran Dewsbury Hall at D. Hopefully he is not just a Danny Drinkwater 2.0 situation and he can improve and show us a little bit more. Or if not, if he does get moved on, whether it's in the January transfer window or in the summer, hopefully we can kind of recoup at least most of the fee that we paid Leicester for him. So we'll see what happens with that. And then F, Omari Kellyman. Don't want to spend too much time on him. I know we haven't seen anything of him. Might be kind of harsh on the kid, but I just was not a fan of that signing whatsoever. So thank you guys for staying tuned and watching this video. Like I said, it was going to be a little bit different than what we're used to on this channel. This was today's video ranking Chelsea's summer signings. since we're about halfway through the season, I just felt like this was a good time to go ahead and go through these. If you guys agree or disagree with any of these rankings on this list, make sure to let me know down below in the comments. Please hit a like on this video if you enjoyed what you just saw or heard, however you want to put it. And please, if you've seen the video from start to finish and you're listening to me right now, I would very much appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to the channel. So, thanks a lot, guys. Until the next one, stay tuned. Peace.